TGCRequiem here. We're back with blue-black Tezzeret. We're going to be on the play. A bit land heavy. We do have a whir though. Whir's pretty strong. I think I'm going to actually mulligan this. I guess we do get to take a peek at the top of our library to determine if we want. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is a little bit better, not terribly. Now it's become a lot better. We are going to lead with Tarn, and we're just not going to fetch till... Nah. Darkslick Shores. We can get the Tarn next turn and then play it sideways if we don't need to use the Collective Brutality. Okay, so Affinity, so we actually probably want the Collective Brutality. Not necessarily that we want to use it right away, but we do want to unload a bit of our hand so that Ensnaring Bridge can really work. Looks like we're probably going to go after the Signal Pest here. Signal Pest is actually a really problematic card under Bridge. We definitely want the third land, so we're just going to do two modes here. We're going to kill that Signal Pest. The thing is we can gain 2 life. That'll buy us a bit of time. If we look at our opponent's hand, we're going to get a good idea of what we have to play against. But we're not going to get any value out of it. Most likely there's not anything we can take with it, so I think we just take the 2 life here. They're going to unload their hand soon enough. So we'll actually really be strongly looking for the Laughter Foundry, sort of the meat combo here. This is perfect. So by putting the plating on the Vault Scourge, they're not going to be able to attack with their Vault Scourge next turn after we drop this bridge. Then we have Word to go get Thopter Foundry. And Sword of the Meek probably second. Because we can always then sacrifice our Bauble for a 1/1 flyer. In case we need to block like a Ornithopter or a Signal Pest. So the thing here is Arcbound Ravager is actually a problematic card. They can attack with Signal Pest and then they need double black, I think, to shift Cranial. Yeah, so they can't shift it instant speed to Signal Pest right now, but they could sack all the counters to Signal Pest for one big attack. We could consider Whir of Invention for a Pithing Needle. The Pithing Needle could shut down the Arcbound Ravager, but it doesn't fix the cranial plating issue. I think we just kind of wait and see. We're not really in any rush. If they were to sack out everything from Arcbound to Signal Pest, you know, they can't kill us this turn anyway. So we are going to go for the Thopter Foundry here. I'll take a peek at the top card of our library. Dark Slick Shores. We don't want that. We could have just sacked the Bauble to Thopter Foundry. But I actually feel like I'm in a position where they're really not threatening us quite yet, and I would rather make sure we're filtering our draw, which we don't get that option if we didn't draw a fetch land right there. Maybe another Vault Scourge. Liliana is not the worst here. Does force our opponent to sacrifice a creature. They try to sack it to Arcbound Ravager instead. And they still have to sacrifice a different creature. Now they can only attack with Signal Pest. You know, we can basically look at the cranial plating to get a good feel for how much damage they could get through. You know, if they did make the determination to throw everything onto the Signal Pest after combat, after the attackers are declared or before. Oh yeah, so they're actually just passing here. Interesting. I don't know if that was an accident or... So this is actually a really good draw. We can sack this for a Thopter, gain a life. I have to imagine our opponent... No, I think where we're at is the opponent just determined they didn't want to sack everything and they couldn't beat us. So it wasn't a mistake on their part. They just basically have to have a lethal attack. So now they'll be able to attack a single signal pest the next turn. They'll both pump each other, making them each a 1/1. So a War of Invention or Tezzeret would be pretty good right now. That's going to buy us essentially an extra turn at the moment. Plus we're going to probably down tick Liliana here. That will help buy us another turn or two. If we have to, we can always sacrifice the Thopter Foundry to itself to block both signal pests if we're at risk of dying. We do have to be a little worried about a Galvanic Blast. I actually sacrifice the Vault Scourge with the Cranial Plating. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like they can move. Yeah, they just can't get in right now. They attack with everything, we just sack the Thopter Foundry to itself, I think. They sacrifice their Arcbound Ravagers to it. They can't kill us anyway. So if they were to sack everything, they could go 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're already at 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. Passing 10. See, the problem becomes that we're just dead then to, if they float a red here, we're dead to Galvanic Blast. I think we actually need to sacrifice Thopter Foundry to itself here. And if they sacrifice the counters to these Arcbound from these Ravagers to the Signal Pests, can't get lethal in. Sorry, they just can't attack with their other creatures, rather. They really don't want to lose the Signal Pest, though. He says they were before, but they kind of have to just eat it now and hope to draw another Ornithopter or something. So we're definitely going to just bauble on end step. Now we need to get something going again. Opponent has an Overseer coming. Go to the Meeks. We'll be able to turn that search over quickly. Start using it to search for cards at our opponent's end step. Again, everything search for Azcanta can hit, everything except for lands. That's fine, we don't need that. So Witchbane Orb is actually fine here. It stops our opponent from being able to Galvanic Blast us. And then we can end step just use the Azcanta, the Sunken Ruin, to hopefully go find a Thopter Foundry or a Tezzeret or something to close this game out. We're actually going to take this Bantu's Last Reckoning. That should essentially lock the game up to some extent. So we're up to 5 artifacts. We need 5 more if we're going to try and win with the Tezzeret ult. We may get to a spot where we can turn some of these artifacts into... Okay, so Signal Pest. They do have the ability to throw plating on there after combat, but Collective Brutality is a good draw here. And we actually can just... Well, hold on. Let's uptick first. Either we're going to hit a 0 here. We may just have to pass. Hiding Needle will also be good if we can name Cranial Plating. I mean, we could cast up to 2 CMC and still cast our Whir. So we have 5 artifacts, we can get 6. Perfect. And actually, we don't even need a cast word here. We just have the Doctor combo on lock. Yeah, so opponent concedes here. They're not beating that. Alright, so post board. Opponent is going to have probably like Hurkyl's Recall or Ancient Grudge. I think typically it's Ancient Grudge, but Hurkyl's Recall is certainly a thing. We do want Fatal Push in this matchup. Chalice is okay, but really only if you can name it at 2, which means I would probably want to name it. I'd probably want to play it post board, but when I'm on the play, but not out of the sideboard rather. Sorcerer's Spyglass, Pithing Needle are very good here. I'm going to assume our opponent is. Oh, let's see. We have to probably assume our opponent's on Hurkyl's Recall, not the Ancient Grudge, right? What don't we want here? I think we want 1 search. I don't think we need 2. Liliana is average. I think Witchbane's a bit unnecessary. Tezzeret's fine. Other Tezzeret's better. You can actually name Cranial Plating. So it says target artifact becomes an artifact creature with base power, toughness 5/5. So you can actually use this to make your opponent's creatures 5/5s. And then they, outsize bridge or whatever. We don't need Relic. Honestly, we'd probably just go after Liliana's here. Liliana's generally pretty bad in the matchup either way. Alright, so game 2 here. Jar, Bauble, we have Bridge and Push. This is a pretty good keep, I think. Probably lead on Temple of Deceit unless they do something really crazy turn 1. So now we're looking at maybe killing a Signal Pest. Then Temple the next turn. There's lots of cards we can name with Pithing Needle and Sorcerer's Spyglass in this matchup. Cranial Plating, Arcbound Ravager, Stiller Overseer, just kind of depending on how, if we need those or whatnot. Don't actually have to cast anything here. One is stuck on 1 land. So again, just another situation where Temple of Deceit kind of acts like a 1-drop in the deck. I think I'm going to just keep this on top. It lets us get rid of another card. Oh. We're probably going to cast Fatal Push this turn. The next turn we're going to go land Ensnaring Bridge. So we're going to have 3 cards. We can cast Ensnaring Bridge. Yeah, I think we'd go Bauble because that really lets us get up pretty low and start turning off their... Let's all turn on like a Whir, something like that. Alright, so Inky is the Infect. It's freezing in my basement. I'm like shaking as I play here. I'm just going to let this come in. It's only 1 point of damage. I want to see if they cast anything that we really want to push before we fire it off. So I'm going to actually fire this off because we want to get our hand low now. Opponent, unfortunately for them, stuck on a 1-lander. So this is definitely good for us if the opponent is like on the Ancient Grudge plan, because now we actually have essentially 3 Ensnaring Bridges. Next turn we should be able to cast anything we draw. The opponent's going to take a stab at getting some Infect damage in, just in case it comes down to it. I think we would consider probably using a Bauble next turn with the Polluted Delta as a filter, because we should have 5 mana up. The opponent's going to try and Spell Snare, or not Spell Snare, but Spell Pierce. We'll say, okay, I'll pay the 2. They realize that they have to get through with their 0/2s. Those are the cards that are scary to us. And then on our opponent's turn, we will probably Bauble ourselves, take a peek, determine if we need to crack our fetch or not. We could recast this entire hand if we draw a land next turn. So if we see our opponent Oh no, I guess we can't because we. Okay, so they just concede. Probably not a whole lot they can do. We would have been able to bauble to see another ensnaring bridge. Possible we keep that. You know, unless we see a Urkel's recall. I guess, you know, because we're again not going to be able to play our lands. Tezzeret would have really started to turn it at that point. Anywho, if you enjoyed the match, please give it a thumbs up or a like, and if you want to watch more matches, please please go ahead and subscribe, and you'll get some notifications when we post some more. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.